Are Aerodrome and Velodrome, the AMM on Base and Optimism respectively, still good buys? Should you be interested in them? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Actually think I did the first video ever on Aerodrome Finance, which you could find on my YouTube channel. I'll actually link it at the end of this video so you can check it out. Back when Aero was like 7 cents. So here we are, just barely over $1, and people are freaking out and wondering what is the future of this project. And so I'm here to kind of hopefully reassure you with some technical analysis that, Aerodrome is most likely going to be fine, but of course we need to justify that with some chart analysis. We'll also take a brief look at Velodrome too. It makes the video a little too long if I get really in depth on both. So I'm going to focus mainly on Aerodrome, but I will also touch on Velodrome. This is Crypto Simulation Theory. I'm the Gaussian Snick. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video if you have anything that you'd like to say. And join my free Telegram group, the Snick Pit, for daily chart updates, technical analysis, and information about new projects. We have about 250 members, and we'd love to have you there. So this is the daily chart for Aerodrome. It's really hard to look at the weekly chart. We just don't have a lot of data, so we're going to go off the daily chart for our hypotheses. The Gaussian channel was green for a really long time. We sliced through a green concave down Gaussian. That usually doesn't end well, and now we are kind of inside of a red concave down Gaussian channel. And the good news is we're inside of it, and we've been putting in higher lows for the most part, although we did just put in a lower low on the daily. This is the red zone of support that ranges from around 65 cents to around 85 cents, and we have managed to stay out of this red zone other than wicking into it ever since blasting through it in March. So the question is, where do we go from here? How do the technicals look? Should I be buying Aerodrome right now? And for the record, I do not own this asset, nor do I own Velodrome at the present time of making this video, but that does not mean you shouldn't. So, all right, well, let's take a dive in and let's look at some on-chart stuff and then maybe some under-the-hood stuff and come to some conclusion. Something to note is that back in late May, around May 28th, Aero printed a bullish cross, but that has been invalidated into a bearish cross as of 2 days ago. So on the daily time frame, these crosses can happen a lot more often than on a weekly time frame. But the last cross before that was a bearish cross on April 27th. So, granted, it was almost an entire month before we got another cross, and that cross was quickly invalidated into a bearish cross. So I'm not terribly encouraged by that bearish cross, although it is nice to see that this price has been pretty resilient around the $1 level. People don't seem to want Aero to go underneath $1. I'm not sure if they'll be able to prevent that from happening, but so far it has been a pretty successful battle. Something that is a little bit encouraging is we do have the formation of a green Gaussian ribbon. As you can tell, we've only had green and red, and that flipped green. What we want to see is for the expansion of the green ribbon. Right now it's very tight, so we'll have to see where that goes. And it's certainly an encouraging sign, though, that probably the majority of the bearish move for Aerodrome is over. And when you see a big red ribbon turn into a green one, that can often indicate a good accumulation zone. So that's probably a point for accumulation. I'm noticing that the weighted logarithmic Bollinger Bands are tightening a little bit, right? So it's just, I don't know whether this next big move that's coming is going to be to the upside or downside. Odds are to the downside right now. Could we test this red zone one more time? It certainly wouldn't hurt, right, to really establish this as a firm support zone. We have one touch point here, one touch point here. Would it really be that bad if we got a third touch point where we entered into the zone and then came back out of it, and that would be like the last drop? I think something like that is definitely possible and quite likely. Doesn't have to happen, but it certainly could happen. I don't think Aerodrome has much time left in its correction. Let me be clear. I look just from looking at the chart, I don't see months of correcting ahead, but I think that it is in some kind of accumulation phase before it starts to, head higher, right? So it's kind of building a base, and this asset needs to prove that there's support at key levels, and I think the key levels are this horizontal range that was built out back in March. And we're actually building support right here now too, so this might be a key level in the future if we drop. We are potentially seeing the formation of a bearish pennant, right? So that would come down to around 93.5 cents, maybe bounce back up to $1.20, and then come back down. And this pennant could easily be invalidated. It's barely just forming now, but you see this could take us, into throughout the month of June and maybe into July. These usually break to the downside. Okay, so these usually do break to the downside, and I would expect the red zone to be where we get caught and probably bottom out for good. Whether that's putting in a lower low or not, I don't know, or just testing the box for confirmation. I honestly can't tell you that. But this obviously points to more than likely a bearish setup. And there's really not a lot of whole moving averages that I can show you. For those of you watching my video for the first time, a whole moving average is a lot less lagging than a simple moving average, so it gives you more current idea. Death crosses and golden crosses take on more meaning. And so we have seen several golden crosses, but they look like they're about to be invalidated, right? We had a golden cross of the 20-day with the 100-day. We had a golden cross of the 50-day with the 100-day. Now we can see that the 100-day is starting to curl. So I do anticipate these will turn into death crosses and play out, and we will see another dump. But I don't think it'll be anything nearly as dramatic as this one. You do see dumps in accumulation ranges, so I still think and maintain we're most likely in an accumulation range, and the HMAs are furthermore telling me that. So on the daily, AERO is by definition in my DCA zone. Anything underneath the 0.2, between 0.0 and 0.2 is generally considered deep value, meaning that if you believe in the future of Aerodrome Finance, and I certainly do, picking up a position in this range could work out very nicely. I sort of think back to Solana from last cycle. There was a time where Solana had been just kind of ranging between 20 and 30 bucks, and it seemed like it was going to do nothing. And this was after a massive pump had already happened. Little did you know at the time that if you were to have charted maybe the beam risk, it probably would have looked something like this. And then Solana went on to do another 10x. And I think that's a very likely scenario for Aerodrome, that it's going to range for a little while in this area, build out some support, but I think that this $2.20 price target is going to get taken out in the next few months, and taken out in a very convincing way. I think Aerodrome could very easily breach the $10 level this year. And depending on how deep the bull market goes, if it goes really deep into next year, we could see Aerodrome potentially, at the best case scenario, it could 20 to 30x from here, which it's already done a 20 to 30x move. That's being a little bit too liberal. I think a more conservative target would be another 10x, and I think that would be a perfectly great move if we could 10x from here, or 20x or something. So I think that's definitely within the cards. So if that sounds sufficient to you, picking up Aerodrome with these prices could work out very well. In fact, Aerodrome has never penetrated the sell zone. So, that just tells me that there's a lot more upside potential in this asset than meets the eye. Even the Trix bubble looks like it's in an accumulation zone. It is looking a little bearish right now. That's okay. So we're seeing a depression in here. It's just kind of straddling the zero line, which by definition is accumulation. The RSI and stochastic RSI look bearish. No surprise there. MACD just printed bearish divergence. Bearish. Okay, I don't think there's any need to overanalyze this one, and I want to make time to look at Velodrome next. So, what can I say about Aerodrome against its USD pair? It's in an accumulation range, most likely, so I wouldn't be afraid to snipe some buys at these prices, and just be prepared to hold for 6 to 12 months. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't think it's going to take like 6 months for Aerodrome to come out of its funk. I think it'll come out a lot sooner. But in terms of like Aerodrome reaching like its cycle ending all-time high, I'm guessing that's probably somewhere between maybe $18 to like $26. I think somewhere in that range is probably where Aerodrome's going to top out for the cycle. But if you watched my video and you got in at 7 to 8 cents, just think of the ROI on that. So, you would probably benefit from picking up some AERO at these prices and then picking up more if it goes back down into the red zone maybe one final time. This is Base's main AMM, and it's formed so many partnerships. There's so many people who back this project. I think, fading it right now because of a little bit of, weak price action is probably not the best idea. This is AERO versus Bitcoin. I can't pull up the Mansfield RSI, or I would. It's not available on the daily. So Bitcoin's outperforming Aerodrome right now. So what? Aerodrome has massively outperformed Bitcoin pretty much all cycle long, at least since it debuted, right? From when I first talked about it in my YouTube video, it has been a great outperformer against Bitcoin. This pair strength is exactly what you want to look for in a strong asset. And now that Ethereum is showing some strength, it would probably be a good idea to look at AERO ETH. AERO is losing a little bit of market share to ETH right now too, but look at that massive outperformance. So AERO really meets all the criteria that I would look for in a project at this point to pick up. The reason why I'm not picking up AERO at the moment is because I kind of fully allocated right now, and I don't have a lot of leftover money to be arrowing into things, to be aping into AERO. But I definitely find it attractive at these prices. And if I didn't have, if I weren't fully allocated, this would be an asset I would certainly consider DCAing into. I would not ape into it like, shove a massive amount of money into it right now, because it's probably going lower. Okay, that's just the odds. So which you could always, DCA by risk levels. I've talked about that in my risk management videos, so go find those and you can see instructions for how to do that. Or you could buy X now, and then if it goes down another 10%, buy 2X, and so on. So up to you exactly how you want to allocate to it. But I do think Aerodrome looks very nice for an accumulation zone if you have a long-term vision for this project and you're willing to just kind of deal with some boring price action for a little while longer. I'm not anticipating any super massive drops. It doesn't mean they can't happen because I'm not psychic, but I'm just not anticipating it. Velodrome, the AMM for Optimism, basically Optimism's version of AERO. I did hold this, and then I had to let go of it. I endured about a 60% drop. I just got in at a really bad time. Totally my fault. We are sitting at around 14 cents, which is slightly higher. I think I sold mine around 13.8 or 13.6 cents, so not that much higher from where we are now. I am starting to kind of like what I'm seeing here. I do think that Velodrome is in a bit of an accumulation range right now, just like Aerodrome, which shouldn't surprise you. But what I'm starting to see happen here is maybe the formation of some kind of bull. Okay, I'm seeing like a bull structure that could be forming. I'm not convinced it's forming yet, but it looks like it is. So that actually looks kind of promising, and certainly, more promising than what Aerodrome looks like at the moment, even though I believe in both of these assets. Something to also note is our last bearish Gunnar EMA cross was on April 18th, which was like a month and a half ago. It looks like we're getting close to printing a bullish cross. If we can continue this bull shape, that will happen, and I would like to see that. I think Velo has had enough touch points in its red zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 touch points in its red zone that it has held support. And maybe you want to count these 2, 5, 6 touch points, okay? That's the kind of confirmation I was looking for from AERO that we haven't really necessarily gotten yet. I feel like we've gotten it with Velo. I don't think that Velodrome needs to dump out any further. I think the lows may already be in. I don't say that with a lot of confidence, though, okay? I would like to see a bullish cross on the Gunnar. For that to happen, we need to see this higher low behavior continue and not get fake outs like this right here. So while I'm very happy to see that Velodrome is above its 50 and 100 HMA, which are both heading, looks like the 100 wants to curl back around, I'm not really liking that it is finding resistance at its 20 day right now. So like I said, I would say I'm cautiously bullish, very cautiously bullish on this one, because we do have support at the 50 and at the 100. Another drop to the red zone would not necessarily freak me out, but it wouldn't make me happy to see that, especially if it goes deeper and we put in a lower low. then I'm not going to be quite as happy with Velo. But right now things look okay. As far as chart patterns go, we broke out of a falling wedge, so if this does fall further, I don't think it would have much further to fall, but that's something I can't really predict, but it is good to know that we did break out of a falling wedge, which is a bullish thing to break out of. I figure we'll just look at a lot of the same metrics I looked at for AERO. The Gaussian ribbon, it looks like the red ribbon is pretty much about to come to a close, and we should see this flip green. The red ribbon's pretty flat, so I'm imagining the green ribbon will also be kind of flat. I'm hoping that it's a little bit positively oriented so we can see maybe a slow bowling back up. That's what I would really like to see, is a bowl start to form here, and I think it is quite likely that that could happen. And we can see that we are very steadily building towards something as the Bollinger Bands have been squeezing. They were squeezed pretty hard here. We thought we were breaking out. Nope. Right back down. So we are riding that median line. So again, you have accumulation here. This is an accumulation zone. Trix bubble looks pretty identical to AERO, honestly. I mean, don't look that different. It's a little bit on the bearish side at the moment. It's okay. It just screams accumulation to me. Okay. We're straddling the zero line, so by definition, accumulation. Now the RSI and stochastic RSI look a little more neutral on this one. Stochastic is starting to flatten out, and RSI looks like it's been forming this very slow bullish divergence. So that actually looks a little healthier than what I saw from AERO. MACD still in the light green. I would like to see more dark green than light green. I am a little concerned that this could flip back into the pink. We could see a bearish divergence form here. So I would be watching out for that. I mean, I guess the good news is the signal line is trending back up along with the MACD line. We'll just have to see what happens here. I can't really tell you much, except I'd like to see a little more strength. I know I didn't look at this with AERO, but I didn't really feel like I needed to. The good news is Velo printed a green dot, which is usually a sign of being very oversold. Got up to the 50% level, and then unfortunately it's heading back down again on the waveform. So I don't know how far down this needs to go, or if we're going to curl right back up here. But I don't like this. I don't. I'm hoping to see this kind of curl back up. On the daily, we have seen sell pressure ease off. It's just we're not seeing a lot of buys right now either. So it's very quiet. And that's not a bad thing. That's just, again, a sign of an accumulation range. So the volume momentum has slowed down. So again, I'm not expecting any catastrophic large drops to happen, just normal accumulation range stuff. Similar in a lot of ways to AERO, but I think potentially less volatile. The Trix itself, or triple exponential moving average, is below the zero line, which is bearish by definition. If it can get above the zero line, that will be more bullish. So I'd like to see some movement in that direction as we head to the middle of June. That'll make me a little more confident about this asset. I said I wasn't going to talk that much about Velo, and I ended up talking about Velo, I think, more than I talked about AERO. So the risk is very, very nice. It's very attractive. It's at zero right now. So Velo really didn't reach its full potential. So if you believe in this asset, it's got a long way to run. And I would say it has more ROI potential than AERO by far. I mean, it hasn't even really done a whole lot, like, compared to AERO, right? So, like, if you look at where Velo started, Velo had a low of around 5 cents, and only like 7x, whereas AERO has already pulled like a 20 to 25x move. So if you believe in Velo, I think Velo has a lot of upside potential and can really melt faces. It's at like near zero in terms of like risk at this point. So I think it's a great asset to DCA, and I actually like from a risk reward perspective, right? If I'm looking at maximizing my ROI in a safe way, what I would do if I held either one of these assets is I'd hold both. First of all, I would probably hold slightly more AERO than I hold Velo, just to be on the safe side, because overall, if you go back to the very beginning, the chart structure for AERO does look better than that for Velo on the grand scheme of things. But I would have a substantial chunk of Velo. So it could be something like 60% AERO, 40% Velo. It really just depends on your risk tolerance, because I think Velo is very likely to have an impulsive move like this at some point when it comes out of this bull. It could, I mean, that's what it's done, and maybe it repeats that pattern again. I don't have a price target in mind for Velo off the top of my head, but I think the $2 to $3 range could be doable this cycle, right? So that could be a serious return on investment. I think it's more likely to go there than AERO is. Let me put it this way. I think Velo is probably more likely to put in a 20 to 30x move from here than AERO is. So I think Velo has a higher chance because its upside potential hasn't been reached the way that AERO's already probably eaten a lot of the upside potential. Let's take a look at Velo Bitcoin and see kind of what that looks like. Well, Velo has moments where it's strongly outperformed Bitcoin. It is not outperforming Bitcoin. AERO is a stronger performer if you were to compare the two, for sure. So I guess that's just something you'd have to kind of think of yourself. What about Velo? Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really give you a great opinion except to say that AERO looks better on this front. Same against ETH. I mean, what can I say? AERO wins here in terms of outperforming Bitcoin and ETH, but Velo does it a lot more quickly. So, you know, and will Velo continue to? I don't know. I mean, Velo's had a pretty nasty drawdown, but nothing unusual really for an asset of this size. I don't think, in fact, I don't think the drawdown's really been all that different from AERO. It just played out a little differently. So like around a 69% drop. Let's compare to AERO. Where is my ruler? I mean, 65% drop. Now the difference between a 65% drop and a 69% drop is actually a little substantial, but it's not enough really to get bent out of shape for. So the bottom line is these are both great assets, right? AERO's kind of already proven itself a lot more than Velo has, and so I think from a risk management point of view, it makes sense to probably hold more AERO than Velo, even though Velo probably will give you that, what's it called? That, you know, Velo will give you better risk-adjusted returns, right? So I think, you know, Velo has a higher chance of doing that, but because AERO's already proven itself, you might as well stick with, you know, the one that you know. So that's just my opinion. It is not financial advice by any means or any stretch of the imagination. Well, that went really well, and I was surprised I was able to get through both AERO and Velo, so yay for me. Yeah, if you like the content that you saw, be sure to give me a like on the YouTube video and you know, comment any questions or any concerns that you have. Share the video, subscribe to my channel. This is the Crypto Simulation. I am the Gaussian Snick. It's my pleasure to bring you chart analysis, and I do this on a very regular basis on my Telegram group, which is called the Snack Pit. We get daily chart updates, technical analysis, info about new projects, and ongoing daily discussion amongst 250 great people like you and me who are just here to try to make some money and change our lives. That's what it's all about. So nothing in this video is intended to be financial advice. Always do your own research. If you hold AERO and VELO, best of luck to you. I think you'll do very well this cycle. They're great projects. Till next time. Peace out.